Alright, so this is going to be my second video doing fight analysis over the second massive fight that's going down at UFC 311 in just a couple weeks. This long break is only about halfway done before we get to the next pay-per-view. So, last video I did how to beat Merab Dvalishvili. This one is going to be how to beat Islam Makhachev. It's going to be the same type of format, and I'm excited to get into this one. So, let's get right into it. We've got the physical attributes that I believe are 100% vital if you want to even have a chance at beating Islam. And Islam is pretty undoubtedly, in my mind at least, the most hard to beat fighter in the UFC right now. He deserves to be number one pound for pound. Should he beat Arman, even if it's a close, hard fight, just cements number one pound for me. So I believe that the most important physical attribute that is necessary to beat Islam Makhachev is power, right? Because in my eyes, there's no way that anybody currently is going to be able to go 5 rounds with Islam and be able to win a decision. I just don't see that happening. Furthermore, I don't see anybody able to finish Islam on the ground, whether that be ground and pound, whether that be a submission. In my opinion, that's just not happening. It would have to be some insane fluke for somebody to finish Islam on the ground, and I would never do an analysis or make picks based on a fluke, because a fluke is just what that is, a fluke. You're not going to be able to logically predict that. So I believe that your one shot at beating Islam is knocking him out, and obviously we know that is not an easy task either. Now, it has been done to him before by Adriano Martins years and years ago. That was a different Islam, and even then, that was a bit of a fluke. So, this guy has fought guys like Charles, guys like Dustin Poirier, guys that knock out tons of people, and he's been completely fine against them. So, betting on a fluke knockout is not the way to go. So next, we're going to go with strength. This is obviously just tying into takedown defense for the most part. You need to be able to stand and strike with him, so if he's taking you down, you're done already. Balance also plays into that takedown defense that you are going to need. Agility also plays into that takedown defense, as well as your ability in the striking to make angles on him, to skip away from his takedowns, to give yourself space to strike. And then you are going to need 5-round cardio. Although I said you're not going to win a 5-round decision against Islam, you need to be able to threaten from the first round to the 5th round to maximize your chances of getting that 100% necessary knockout if you want to beat Islam. Alright, and then we've got the skills. In my opinion, what you really need is elite level striking and elite level power. If you do not have elite level striking and elite level power, I give you a less than 10% chance of beating Islam, no matter how good the rest of your skills are, right? I don't care if you're the best wrestler, the best grappler in the UFC, you're not going to finish Islam on the ground. And if you're not able to finish Islam on the ground, he's going to beat you up in the standing. You're not going to be able to dominate him to the point where you're never standing, and he is going to outskill you in the striking, unless you are an elite level striker with elite level power, elite level danger in your hands. Because Islam himself has evolved to the point where he is an elite level striker. Now, he is aided by the threat of the takedown, so that's why it's also important to have elite level takedown defense, because in my opinion that just widens the gap between a guy who's an elite level striker and a guy like Islam, who's a very good striker but relies on his threat of the takedown to become elite. So I believe that you need to be able to forget trying to stuff takedowns, right? That cannot be your priority against Islam. Although that is very important, your priority has to be trying to knock this guy out. Otherwise, you're just going to lose, even in the striking. This is just why it's so hard to beat this guy, because he's just so good in every area. And lately, he's even become dangerous on the feet. Head kick knockout over a guy like Volk is just ridiculous. Alright, and then obviously you're going to need elite level submission defense and scrambles. No matter how good you are with your takedown defense, chances are Islam is going to get you down at least once. You need to be able to survive that quickly, and you need to be able to get back to the feet where you're the one posing the danger instead of him. And then elite level striking precision, you're not going to get many chances against a guy like Islam. His striking defense is ridiculous. I believe statistically he absorbs the least significant strikes in the striking of anyone at lightweight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I've seen that stat. You need to be able to make your shots count, and you need to be able to hurt Islam with those strikes. So elite level striking precision is the last skill that I believe is 100% necessary to beat a guy like Islam. Alright, then let's move on to the game plan that we're going to go with. So like I said, your primary focus needs to be posing a genuine threat in the striking, and I believe that that needs to be a varied, dynamic threat, right? You can't just be that guy that has maybe a straight right or a hook. A guy like a guy like Dustin Poirier. Really, Islam is good enough of a striker to be able to defend against the boxing combos, which are great from Poirier, but as great of a striker as a guy like Poirier is, he is a bit one-dimensional, right? You know he's not going to knock you out with a head kick or spinning back kick or wheel kick, anything like that. So I believe you need to be able to threaten with kicks to the body, kicks to the head, punches to the body, punches to the head, knees, elbows. You need to be a complete, versatile striking threat with knockout power in every limb. And then second, you need to game plan to survive the grappling exchanges and minimize the time that you are spending outside of the striking. So like I said, think of ways to scramble. I think Volk is a good game plan to study for this, although the problem is Volk gave up too much time on the ground without trying to risk safety, right? Like he spent that entire round 3, I believe, with Islam on his back. He spent a lot of time turtled, just waiting for Islam to make a move so that he could take advantage of that and get back to his feet. I know it's risky, but you have to think of a way to get out of the grappling as soon as possible and get back to the feet. Alright, and then next, you should not be attempting submissions aside from the sole purpose of leveraging those submissions to stand up. I think this is something that Charles probably struggled with, something that Charles probably suffered from in their fight, because Charles obviously is that elite level BJJ guy, and if anybody can submit Islam on the ground, it would be a guy like Charles. But even then, I don't think that Oliveira could do it, right? I think we've just seen that Islam is too safe on the ground and too threatening on the ground. Do not waste time trying to get this guy with a triangle, trying to get him with a Kimura from the back or anything. Just focus on standing up and striking, because I promise you, nobody is submitting this guy outside of a fluke, which can't really be accounted for and should not be planned for. Alright, and then I would say commit fully to the striking. Don't worry about being taken down, because if you're not going to commit to the striking, you don't have to worry about being taken down anyway, because you're going to lose in the striking. So at least give yourself a chance, okay? Give yourself a chance in the striking. Forget about the takedowns, even though you will have to deal with it, but just mentally commit 100% to hunting the knockout at this guy at all costs. It's not the best game plan, but it's the only one that has a chance of working against a guy like Islam, just because he is so good, so well-rounded. You have to take that 30-40% chance you have with elite striking and elite power that you're going to knock this guy out before he knocks you out or takes you down and submits you. Alright, and then let's move on to what's relevant for UFC 311. In my opinion, can Arman Tsarukyan be the guy to finally end Islam's winning streak and take his lightweight belt? So let's look at kind of the attributes that I've put up for Arman. I believe he does have elite level wrestling. He does have elite level defensive and offensive grappling and scrambles. But where he really suffers, in my opinion, is his power. Now, he did knock out Beneil Dariush. He did hurt Charles in moments. But I believe his power is just average, to be honest. At this point, a lot of people are knocking out Benil Dariush. I wouldn't be surprised if Moicano is able to hurt him on the feet. We know Moicano's not necessarily the most dangerous guy in the striking. Um, if I were to say that Arman had amazing power, I would have liked to see him really, really hurt Charles, who isn't known for having the greatest chin. I would have wanted to see him putting guys out cold on the come up, which he just wasn't doing. I believe his power is okay. I don't think it's anything special. I don't think he's going to be able to one-shot knock out Islam Makhachev. Now, maybe a few weeks from now there's going to be that highlight where Islam goes out cold, but if that is to happen, I believe that's a fluke. I believe that's not something that anybody could have logically predicted. If somebody does logically predict that, and it ends up exactly like they said, I'll be extremely impressed, right? I'll probably go start watching that guy's videos. But I don't believe that his power is at that level where he could plausibly do that. And then his striking is good. It's technical, it's quick, but in my opinion, it's nothing special. It's nothing like Volkanovski's, who Islam beat arguably in the striking. And that's something I want to talk about. Although Volk is, in my opinion, still clearly more skilled in the striking than Islam, the reason that Islam was able to stand with him, in my opinion, wasn't even the threat of the takedown. It was the power difference. Volk, at featherweight, wasn't really known for being the most powerful guy. At lightweight, I do believe he is a bit more powerful, at least in their first fight when he had the proper bulk, not in the second fight. That was just fat featherweight Volk. But in the first fight, I do believe he was a bit more powerful, but still not powerful enough to really pose a threat to Islam. This is a guy that knows if he gets knocked down, he'll be fine in the grappling. The only way to really finish this guy is to put him out cold, so he's not going to get a chance to just grab a hold of you and survive. I don't think Arman has that power either, where he's going to be able to really put Islam on notice, make him hesitant in the striking. So that's something that I'm really worried about for Arman. He has great athleticism. Athletically, I don't think there's anything I can really criticize him for. I was watching a few of his fights yesterday and today in preparation for this video, and what really stood out to me is his footwork. God, his footwork looks great. A lot better than I remember. So that impressed me. And good cardio. Cardio is not going to be a problem for him. But in my opinion, I got to give Arman like a 10% chance of winning this fight. People might say that's low because he is close to Islam's level in every area. But in my opinion, Islam is clearly maybe 10-20% better than Arman in every single aspect of MMA, aside from maybe like athleticism, although Islam is probably bigger and stronger. So I just can't I just can't predict a guy to win when I don't see them being better in any area of the game, right? Barring flukes, I'm going with Islam Makhachev. But there is one more thing that I wanted to talk about in this video, and that is the only person at 145 or 155 that I believe poses a genuine, realistic threat to Islam Makhachev, and that is Ilia Topuria. Now, I give Ilia Topuria about a 40 to 50% chance of beating Islam. I would still favor Islam, pending some things that we could possibly see from Ilia in the future, and that is, I want to see his wrestling and his grappling tested. Now, this could happen against a guy like Movsar Evloev. If Ilia Topuria goes out there, has no issue in the wrestling at all with Movsar Evloev, maybe even takes Movsar down, out-grapples him, potentially even subs him, then I'm giving Ilia like a 60 to 70% chance of beating Islam. But right now, although we know Topuria's wrestling and grappling is something that it does put a lot of effort into, something that he is very comfortable in, it's really just an unknown how good that is at the very elite level, because there are some questions about maybe how he performed against Bryce Mitchell, where he was taken down and held down a little bit. Obviously, he still smoked Bryce Mitchell in that fight, but from Bryce Mitchell to Islam Makhachev is a massive jump in the wrestling and grappling. And for me, that's the biggest unknown going into this fight. Now, the reason I do give Ilia that 40% chance, regardless, he has exactly what I believe you need to beat Islam, and that is the elite power, elite striking with a great delivery system. Ilia can put out anybody he fights, probably from 145 all the way up to 170. He has that more than elite level power. He has that like 1 in a million level power. More than that, 1 in a billion level power. I don't think there's anybody more powerful at 145 or 155, especially if Ilia is able to go up, spend some time up there, and put on some more size, some more mass. Plus, he'll have that lighter man skill that people talk about. Imagine the first Volk fight with Islam, but Volk has the power of Ilia Topuria. That would be a win for Ilia Topuria, in my opinion. So, I believe Islam has gotten better since then, and I believe that Ilia Topuria is a much more dangerous version of Volk in the striking. Not that they have similar styles, just that they're that guy coming up from 145 to challenge Islam, and they're both well-rounded, stocky, explosive guys. So, I believe that Ilia has a much better chance of beating Islam than Arman Tsarukyan does, but I still wouldn't give him more than a 50% chance. That's how good Islam Makhachev is. And like I said, you need all of these elite physical attributes as well as all of these elite technical attributes and the right game plan. So Islam is never going to be a guy that's easy to beat, but if you have to do it, this is the way. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment. I'll respond. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Leave a like if you like. Subscribe. I'll be putting out a lot more videos. I like to do this. Anyway, have a good day.